Good morning and welcome to Jasiri, where we dive into the very deep conversations and stories that shape our world. Now, today we're addressing a deeply personal and evolving topic for women and for many families in Nigeria, and that is the topic of surrogacy. Now, for many people, surrogacy offers a path to parenthood when other options seem out of reach. But it is also to raise profound questions about ethics, legality, and the emotional dynamics of bringing life into the world through this method. Now, from being spoken about in hushed tones to couples being open about their surrogacy choice, the narrative is changing. But that conversation comes up after the break.
And after the break, yes, Ma.
Yes.
Did you have something to say, Catherine?
Man, Tolu, I think your tab, where your tab is, I know that is your name, but can you move your tab a little to
that is your name.
I'm asking Tolu to please move her tab a little.
As we continue on our show today,
left,
we are opening with personal pet peeves.
Yes.
One of my personal pet peeves. The shade that I'm receiving on this table.
What have we done?
No, especially
We cannot talk about it because we were crucified when we didn't offend. But the head of our team, you know, she had to fall into the pit she dug for herself.
she sanctioned 4 of us.
Yes.
4 of us.
Yes. 4 of us.
I love it. Now 3 of them are receiving
If you know you
Are you people serious with yourselves today?
See, please, first move
Yes, your pet
tab.
peeves.
My pet peeves.
Put your tab.
My pet peeves, one of them include 3 people sitting on this table. You have considered yourself. If you touch my
Well, this is not how we actually play.
My phone is going like this.
Lolo is inauguration.
We're launching.
Apple inauguration.
Wow.
Let's be serious, ladies. Let's be serious. Ladies.
Blessings. Do we want to continue down this path?
No. You better stop, because when you follow this truck,
You know what intrigues me? For me, it's that sometimes when you're indoors too long, you understand, you need the sun. And then, especially for those
I'm not talking again, no.
especially for those who don't get to see the sun offers vitamin D.
And you know something that happens when you've not been in the sun for long, when you finally come out in the sun,
you look so lush
and
glowing.
glowing.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. And I like it when you clean your car headlights.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it makes your light shine brighter. It's important in your car.
Yeah.
When your headlights are a bit dim, you bring them, you remove all the things and clean them so that your light illuminates.
Even the Bible says, let your light so shine.
Amongst men.
So please let the light shine in those places that don't see the sun where the sun shines. Sometimes it is fresh air, vitamin D for ample blooming.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So what are your gardens, guys?
I thought we were talking pet.
But do you know, funny enough, let me tell you guys, I think I'm having a proud mama moment. You know why?
Why?
The innuendos were first class. The innuendos were first class.
I didn't know.
For those that do not know the meaning of innuendo, then this would be a lovely learning curve for you this morning.
For you to go and look for it in the dictionary. The innuendos were first class.
Yeah.
Yes.
Open up yourself to new words.
Blessings, you weren't talking again.
Yeah.
Are we okay to move on now?
Yes, we are.
Does anybody have a pet peeve they'd like to share as it's supposed to be?
I hate the pet peeve, you know. I actually hate to see people. Have you ever seen people put their hands in their nose and stick it right in their mouth?
No, you went there.
How about those that scratch their crotch?
In public?
In public.
So I think there are a few things going on there. One, they weren't taught as children that certain things are supposed to be done. When you're taking your bath, that's the opportunity to clean your nose, to blow your nose, do all of that. Not in public. Then the scratching crotch parts, there's a lot. It could be hygiene, it could be heat, it could be the wrong type of underwear, it could be so many things. It could be an STI, it could be so many things.
And then for the ladies, they'll be dragging it from the back.
As you said this thing, visible panty lines. Are a pet peeve.
Yeah.
But do you know, thank
true.
God, I would have really displayed today. I had to quickly change.
Because you looked and you cared.
Yes, so because I was told that No, this was too glaring.
But I've heard that some people do it intentionally.
But I don't think it's
That
even
some
beautiful.
ladies do it intentionally to
but
draw
it's not,
attention.
It's not nice.
Okay. It's not nice. It doesn't
nice.
So you know when we're growing up, shimmy and sleep.
Yeah,
my mom was
cute.
My mom would not let you leave the house. She used to send me and my cousins back. But she was sleep, go back and wear it. I was like, what is this?
Did you wear underskirt?
I wear underskirt, shimmy underskirt, all of it. But now I realize that.
Who didn't wear
Yes, but now I realize those are called foundation garments. And now, as I'm older, they're sexier, there's lace.
No, I know my mom had black silk.
Black silk.
I remember then if they take light, because my clothes are usually thick, I'll just wear hers.
Do you know my mom? In fact, when she passed, it was one of the things that I picked out of her things and I wear till now. I have a black on. If you don't have a black on the sleeve, I don't think it's like you're not come of age. In our time. When I give her my shimmy set, she doesn't seem to understand it. They are used to tights.
And it's not as if it's really sexy or feminine anyway. It's just underskirt.
No, but now they're making them sexy. They're making them more feminine.
Yeah. So now these days people even wear more biker shorts.
Yes, biker shorts.
Yeah.
But I actually don't think biker shorts are great. Because one, I will wear undergarments too.
Constricting.
Yes, for me it's constricting, and it actually makes you smell sometimes because you're sweating into those materials. And when you open, sometimes you can actually see sweat gather, but underskirt is just supposed to
help with airflow and the lines.
It still keeps you open, but it even guards again if your dress is see-through. It blocks the view. And I think it's nice.
Do you know? I think this generation we grew up being told that if you're wearing white, you wear black underneath. I don't think this generation heard that at all. That there's certain colors and things you can wear underneath, so your clothes are not see-through.
I think they know that. I think because we use tight, but we still use like the black color for white. Yeah, so it's just.
But this generation do not even believe in undergarments.
No.
Hey, come on, we need to talk about those things.
Do we need to talk about it? Because if we're going to talk about the boxers that don't get washed every week.
But Tolu, there's a movement now, a generation of women that actually believe that these constricting underwears we wear actually have health implications. And now there is a lot of science that is pushing the fact that all our underwear is not good for us. So all those like sport bras without no underwire is better for women. So there's a generation that
have you almost lost an eye to underwire?
When you go home free, it is healthier.
You look down, the wire is like this. That underwire. I had a scarf from underwire.
I was in the market the other time.
It doesn't concern you. What we do. You cannot know about underwire. You have no
What
need
do you
for
mean?
It. You absolutely underwire.
I'm so sorry.
What would the underwire have to do for you? What would you believe?
Lola, it's okay. The first one
I've been in the market before. Like I just saw it sticking out, and I'm like,
I think everybody does that.
But the moment you do that, the whole thing loses its
like Lola said, it doesn't affect me. There's no difference.
It doesn't do
there was a time my sister and I'm sorry, big sis, but my sister and I were in the market. We're the same thing. We're the same thing. We just have chest, So we're in the market and it was so hot. We just entered one place.
Like, let some people try it.
How did we get to this conversation?
It's
pet peeve. Okay, my pet peeve is the that thing. I can't explain what that thing does to me. My God, but if you're Israel, I think I should just.
How like goats? No, I like to hear the crunch.
The only one I like to hear is my dog's.
Okay, maybe opening your mouth in meditation. I don't like that one. People like this. No, it's a word that can actually chew that you'd hear the sound. But their mouth
another one is some people that wake up in the morning and for some reason they're just trying to.
Oh, please. Why do people do that? The ones that clear their throats. I know. Stop.
Then that means you dislike all my children.
They have phlegm.
But like,
it might be sinuses. It could be the conditions in which they sleep. It could be air. It could be so many different things.
I just pray that the man you eventually agree to will not come with.
I won't agree to that. That's a deal breaker for me. I'm serious. It is.
A great man that does this in the morning.
Okay, so blessings between that and snoring, which is a
funny thing. I can actually live with snoring.
You think?
Just something he does.
No, because I've been in the midst. So when I was in university, there was a place we called Family House. I've been where guys and I've realized it's not as irritating to me as so I think that I can actually, because for me, I don't know, for some reason I've gotten so used to noise that when I want to sleep, even if thunder and brimstone, I will sleep.
There's
so
I think snoring that's not like thunder and lightning. He's taking from me. There are times I wake up and I look at the gentleman beside me. I'm like, guy, I just have to do a little nudge, like, please reorganize yourself. Because there are some times when you sleep that when you wake up, if you get distracted, you can't go back to sleep. So the snoring becomes like a distraction. It's not all the time. So even me, I know. We're so bad that we've recorded each other and sent it. You'll now send me in the middle of the day and say, Auntie, if they hear fine girl snort like generator, I hate it.
Oh my God.
I don't mind snoring. I don't mind snoring.
I think you get used to it after.
Yes.
I think
don't you feel it when you snore?
Some people do get used to, but no, I've seen skunky people.
So that's gotten to my
They don't
pet peeve.
even. It's Catherine. I know someone like you can never. It's impossible for Catherine, because Catherine is perfumed from within a house.
No,
I told you I let her to perfume house for Catherine.
Her.
So smell. But I had to ask someone, because the whole family kind of had a peculiar smell. I asked them, I said, don't you smell?
So there can be genetic causes.
They're used to it.
There can be genetic causes, there can be environmental, there can be hygiene poverty. I think that's something we really actually need to talk about, hygiene poverty. There can be the fact that some people grew up and they were not told how to keep clean, how to wash. Your olfactory senses, they get used to it. They get used to it. So it's when people enter a room that they can smell something. After you've been there for a few minutes, you no longer smell it as well. And then you get used to your own smell.
Like being in Lagos, I remember one time.
It's always you.
I'm sorry. I was going to the island with a boss, right? And I'm always like, I'm big on, and I use all perfumes. Like the way I use my oil, I press it and then I rub it all over my body. But that day I was going to the island and then I entered into a bus that had so much smoke. And then immediately I got to the office, one of my colleagues was like, did you cook this morning? I changed my dress immediately.
It enters your pores,
and that was when I realized that sometimes you don't know. When you take public transport, you start to smell like smoke.
Nobody should laugh. I do. I hope he's not watching. One of my makeup artists this weekend, I had to tell them to go upstairs and get my body spray. You know when people like to wear sleeveless? And you have unshaved armpits? And as they paint my face like this, your face is like this. I was trying to run. I said, Uncle, wet. Go and get that thing to help me ease it down. Because it's a pet peeve for me. I cannot stand it if you're wearing...
And you didn't realize that
I swear. If you're wearing sleeveless, you owe yourself a duty to keep your armpits shaved and yourself deodorized.
It's not everybody that knows how to raise.
So that's I want to make a point before we need to go on a break. Our guest is waiting. There's a difference between deodorant and antiperspirant. They are two different things.
Exactly.
And in the society, in the country we live, in the tropical country we live, where it's so hot, if you are using anything, nobody should be using anything but antiperspirant. It's not deodorant. All this body spray that people spray, body spray is not antiperspirant. Please use antiperspirant. Look for roll-on, look for spray that says anti. Even if it's the one that tells you 48-hour control.
You cannot understand what Tolu is saying. Use antiperspirant. Antiperspirant.
Let's take us to a break.
I'm sorry. When Tolu says anti, Lola will say perspirant.
Antiperspirant.
It's okay there. So after the break, we take on a...
We're going on a...
What happened, people?
I started.
Okay.
She said we were...
Yes. Today you are my pet peeves.
So after the break, we take on another sensitive issue, because this was a very sensitive one. Intimate and possibly controversial topic, surrogacy. Now, surrogacy offers hope to individuals and couples for whatever reasons they may have, but it also raises significant questions about ethics, legality, emotional bonds, and societal acceptance. In a world where science and culture often collide, how do we navigate the complexities? You know what? Just wait for it. We're coming back.
Our guest
is Nancy Umeh, a public health scientist, private chef, and also she just had her third child via surrogacy. So you don't want to miss this. Stay with us.
You're watching Jasiri. Welcome back. Today our focus is on surrogacy, which is a path to parenthood that is often not spoken about here in Nigeria. Many choose this way, but prefer not to disclose. Some families even forbid it outrightly. But our guest today is a proud mother through surrogacy and a vocal advocate for fertility solutions. After all, solutions are what matter. She has become a beacon of hope for women navigating this journey, encouraging them to embrace surrogacy without fear or shame. So today we'll explore the realities of surrogacy in Nigeria. We'll debunk misconceptions and discuss how we can normalize these conversations to empower more families. It's my pleasure to introduce Nancy Umeh, who is a public health scientist, a professional chef, and now a proud mother of 3. Nancy's here to share her remarkable story and shed light on an issue that needs to be spoken about more. Welcome to Jasiri, Nancy.
You're welcome.
So beautiful.
So yes, can we talk about your milky skin? Can I eat bread with it?
Lolo is globalizing our guest again.
No.
Yes.
When you see a beautiful bump. No, we give up love vibes here.
No, the vibe is good and we enjoy it. Thank you so much. She can tell me I've been chasing you. How long have I been chasing you?
Forever.
I chase. No, I'm very good at chasing. I was chasing since last year.
We give to we give you the chase.
I've been chasing her. Thank you.
But she was there like, yo, I'm here.
But for some of you, Nancy may look a little bit familiar. She's the proud sister of Kora Obidi, who was one of our very first celebrity guests when we relaunched Jasiri last year. And now we can say now Jasiri is a family affair.
Yeah.
For you guys, you know.
Interview Kora.
We did.
We have messed up this whole thing.
Oh, wow. I heard
What
things
used
that
to her?
day.
She's a beautiful hurricane.
Yes, I heard things that day.
We've had mother and daughter, but now we're
we
having
have
sisters.
Yes.
All right, Nancy, because this conversation is a very interesting one and sensitive for Nigerians. I don't like to say that Nigerians are very secretive or hypocritical, or maybe they lack knowledge. So those are the kind of things that we're going to be talking about today. I know you just had your beautiful baby, yes. She's had a 3rd child through surrogacy last year. And it was so exciting for me to see because I follow her, I've been following her for years. I just love everything she does. You know, she's just cute. Yeah. I want to know, a lot of people will be wondering that, okay, you've had 2 children by yourself, so why have a 3rd through surrogacy? So whose idea was it? And was it you and your husband? Was it you? You know?
So it wasn't even any of us. It was our doctor because he was tired.
Wow.
At some point, he just told me, yo, you're not going to carry this baby by yourself because I can't even count how many miscarriages I had. It was several. At some point, I just stopped counting. So he said, you know what, we're going to do 1 more cycle, but I need you to consider surrogacy. And the moment he said that, I just felt, what? What? So this option, I mean, I actually worked in fertility for 3 years. Wow. I've seen people do surrogacy, but I just never thought
That it would
ever, I was like, oh, I've never had fibroids. You know, there are people who genuinely have issues with their uterus and they need surrogacy. So I just felt, no, it's not me.
So you know that feeling of it can't be me. It shouldn't be me.
Yeah,
I think that ends up being the barrier for so many people, so many women in particular, that actually delays what could be a solution.
7 years of denial and thinking, oh, this next one is going to stay.
Wow.
It's going to stay. And it just kept coming out. And my husband was like, yo, are we going again? I said, yes. This time around, I'll stay indoors. I will not do anything.
You will not stress yourself. I'll eat well.
Yeah. And it just doesn't work.
It just doesn't work.
So you had your own reaction. What was your husband's reaction to what the
He
doctor
was so
said?
relieved.
Really?
Wow.
I was like, oh, good.
Is it Nigeria?
He's an Anambra Igbo man.
Wow.
He was so relieved. He was like, wow, so this option has been there. Please, I beg, let's not go through this again. Because every time I do a cycle, he's the one that injects. He's the one that, so he's always with me on the journeys. It's not like I'm alone, but he feels the pain, he feels the mood swings, and it's like, do we really have to? At some point, he was like, yes, I want a big family too, but you're gaining all this weight, gaining and losing and getting pregnant and miscarrying, and it was now like a routine.
Yeah.
People would see me big and fat and they'd be like, Nancy, congratulations. And then 2 months later, it's like,
it does take an emotional toll on women.
Yeah.
A lot of people do not know that miscarriages go beyond something,
A physical loss.
a physical loss. It's
no, I don't
emotional.
even want
also.
to even. It was after they told us about this option that I realized how much damage that had done to me.
Was it mental? Psychological?
It was crazy because I just did not see anything lasting. Like I just had this. It's gonna fail.
Sense of
It's just going to fail. Everything's going to. I just felt like, oh God, everything I do is just going to fail. Like why? I knew there was something wrong with my uterus, but I had seen all the specialists that were trying so hard to help me. At some point, I took Viagra, the blue pill for men, for a while, just to make sure that my cycle would keep that baby. I was thickening up my lining. It just didn't work.
Very quick before we move on, what was the toll on your marriage? Because even on your relationship, because in some situations, even if whether it's IVF or you're doing or you're tracking your cycle or things, it takes, for some women they've said, or some men even, it takes the fun out of the intimacy. You're on a clock. You're trying to match ovulation. You're trying to. It takes the joy out of what is supposed to be an encounter, a fun time.
We rely on our doing to have any baby. We're doing for
medical.
For doing so
So there
because
was
we
no
tried for a while.
conscious pressure on that.
No, so we were not on a clock to.
Okay, but then how did it then impact the cycles of IVF
The way it impacted
and
was like we started
miscarriages?
seeing ourselves like robots. It was like, okay, so you have to be on the clock, you're taking your medication at this time. My whole says looking at me as one child that he'll be policing up and down. Yeah, come on, your injection time. I'm like, yo, what's up? This, come on now. Come and take your injection. It's time. So now, wow.
I think actually listening to her, I think that you're very lucky or blessed in some way, because a lot of men are so traditional in their ways that even this, the involvement in the things that you're doing, that they consider having your children, because in Africa, women are used to that your child you are having. So even when it comes to these things,
It's our child.
wow,
We've shared it before marriage. We shared our responsibilities.
Wow.
So he very much understands what his role is as a father. So I wouldn't say I'm lucky. That's your role. You do it. I do my. Come on.
Yeah.
Wow.
So for your family, how did they take the news? How did you break the news to them? And what was their initial reaction?
Do you mean like my
extended
parents?
family,
And
Your
even his
parents,
family as well.
yeah,
Did you
his
tell them in the beginning?
Yes. So all our cycles, they were involved. My mother-in-law is old school, but she's very informed. She travels. She's very well-traveled.
enlightened.
So she was always like, this is my friend. That saw this. She knows one person that knows another person. At some point, she said, hey, what do you know about cryptic pregnancy? Come, let's explain that. They say if you just pay 5 million, they would. I said, please, I'm not that desperate. But she was a bit confused at first, but she later said, okay, since you people said you don't want to carry it, I think you people should just rest. Anything you tell her, she just say, okay. But my father, on the other hand, that one is like a support machine. Anything you tell him is down for you. Like, what do you want me to do? Yeah, you people are traveling. Yes, I'll stay with the children. What do you want? He's always there looking for what to do. Because he's retired. He doesn't have anything to do. But he was helpful.
Wow.
Every time we would go for cycles, sometimes he traveled at some point looking for solutions. He was always there.
I must say that I'm happy for you in that regard, because to have family support on 100. Not that you're trying to convince one part of the family to go on the journey, oh, don't worry, it will work, but everybody just threw their support behind you. Because societal and cultural norms, the perception towards surrogacy, I don't know, maybe we'll get to the question, but I know that,
I think so the thing with me is, as I'm doing it, I'm telling you, it's not like you will now find out later and say, okay, what are you doing? No. For our parents, we told them, listen, we have been trying. After I took out my implants, we tried, and I told them, they work. This is our third pikin, they come, and they were like, hey, God, everybody started praying. My mother-in-law went to do her prayers, and it was like we're carrying them along. But I think Nigerians was like this whole, I don't want to be seen as struggling. I don't want to just be vulnerable. I don't want to put myself out there and just tell people my issues, my troubles. That's why people don't really receive support, in my opinion, because I noticed that as I came out to talk, people are started coming to my DM to confess. Like, I just wanted to tell you that me too. I've done something.
We have gotten there.
I said, I'm like, so why? She said, I felt this load off my chest. I've been keeping it for it. I'm like, why didn't you tell anybody? Like, there are people that genuinely hid pregnancies from their own family members. Like they work processes for their own, like people, their neighbors think
what were their reasons though?
So at that point is where I want us to get to, is this concept of how you should become a mother. Our idea and understanding and belief of what constitutes motherhood is the child that you give birth to. And that's not just what motherhood is. And then we need to realize that a lot of women are struggling. Rates of PCOS have increased. That's daddy anyway. That's your dad when he met the baby.
Oh my God.
I
think we're going to have to find a way to decimate your dad. And just give him a little piece of him to every home.
So there are rates of PCOS that's increasing, infertility is increasing. Couples that have had first children they're finding it difficult to have a second child, unexplained secondary infertility. So we are seeing what is in front of us, but we're refusing to sort of let go of the shackles of what we've been told constitutes how you become a mother. So how do you deal with that? Because people are coming to you to confess and they want to give this load off their chest. But you're not mother confessor. There's nothing wrong with owning it.
Even as they're even confessing, I'm sure some people throw negative too.
And then, I'm looking even, I'm going back a bit to say what triggered, I know you're a very vocal person. Hearing you talk and seeing you how
she's like, the sisters, the father raised the sisters.
Now ask and say,
speak up how
the father raised the sisters.
And I love that. Allow children to express themselves. Anyways, you decided to be vocal about your journey. Isn't it you just sat down and say, what the heck, let me just share this, let me put it out there.
No, okay, so when I was trying.
And before you go to Tom's question, of course.
Okay, when we were trying, I was always putting it on my stories, like, guys, Peking don't come down again, oh God, I beg. People be like, what?
I remember. Because even miscarriage, we don't talk about.
Yes, we don't.
Even miscarriage, we don't talk about.
And like, oh my God, this is too much information. So people were revolting silently on my stories, like, do you really need to be sharing this? I mean, this is like between you and your husband. There was a time I came and I shared me injecting myself. And then I had like 60,000 views on my stories that day. I was like, people are sharing my stories to see this one. Oh, why is she sharing this? Oh my God, keep your marriage issues to yourself. Do you really have to tell the world that? I'm like, I knew why I was sharing that because a lot of people, with my background in fertility nursing, a lot of people really, really look down on people that cannot have children.
The natural way.
Like they really do.
What is the natural way?
They think that they are better off having vaginal delivery.
Exactly. Even the CS vaginal delivery conversation.
I applied to them. I'm like, there's so many pathways to motherhood, and if you feel a certain way, just watching somebody else, that's not your business. Injecting themselves, trying to have another baby, and you're so disturbed to the point that you have to text the person and say, you really need to take down the stories. Then there's a problem in Nigeria because people have serious issues. They really do not want to see people just do anything out of the norm. I mean, praise God, face your front, keep everything to yourself. If you are going through pain, keep it to yourself, hide it. Nobody wants to see it. It's not our business.
So again, I think that it has a lot to do with societal and family support. Like the way you were brought up to be vocal, you have your family support. I don't think everybody is blessed with that. I think that there are some persons that even their own mothers will be like, why can't you carry your own child by yourself? And after the first, second, third, they're like, something must be wrong with you, And because of that, you see, so most times it was before I used to think, why is this one hiding things from our own family? But now you don't know what she's going through in the hands of her own family. So sometimes you just see, okay, Mom, I've given birth, and you're like, you hid it from me, and the social media, like, how dare you? But you don't know what the person went through in the hands of her mother. So I think that it has to do with how the family receives, the mindset of the family towards this kind of thing.
We have to start with us. Our generation has to change this thing because the previous generation, they really messed up. They really did. My father was an only child from his own mother in a polygamous household. He felt like I don't know.
That must have been so tough.
Like an island.
Yeah, for his mother.
I think that's what encouraged him to get us to just be out there. Sometimes you say, hey, maybe I overdid this because look at your sister. Oh my God. Maybe I overdid this. But now he's like, okay, thank God, because every time I feel cheated, I speak out. Every time I feel some type of way, I speak out. I don't care what anybody says. I just say my piece and get it over with.
You know, like, I'm looking at you because a lot of women need support. In Nigeria, we're beginning to see people that are vocal about their challenges and the struggles that they go through. Now, a community where they can actually get help. Is this something you are hoping to do? Because it's a different thing that you inspire me from afar and I get to hold your hand. It's another thing.
I don't know if I'm psychologically capable of offering that kind of...
Like having like
building a
community where...
I feel like I've done my piece. There's so many people that are advocates, and right now they're like, finally somebody that has experienced this has spoken up. And I feel like my platform is, I think I have 1.5 across. So, and it sort of like went viral. I did 20 million views on Facebook alone. So everybody that wants to hear has heard, and the ones that want to buy, they should.
So you have Cora's same,
my God.
not dismissive attitude, but what happens? I'm choosing what I want to choose. Everybody else should go and help transform if they want.
The ones that have come back to say, oh, in your mind now, you're a mom. That's not your child.
Wow.
If you go to my Facebook, oh my gosh. I did like a series, part 1, 2, 3. They all did like 5 million. And the comment section, imagine 10K comments and then like 1,000 of them.
That in your mind that you think
in your mind, that's not your child. And it's like, and then people will now go there and
attack them.
And at the end of the day, you will see the revolution. You will see that
change of mindset.
Actually, like mindsets are shifting. People are actually learning more. They're like, oh, you can breastfeed. Oh my God, I didn't know this.
You're getting ahead of me now. So before we go for a break, very quickly, there are different types of surrogacy. So what type did you and your husband choose?
So we had gestational, not the traditional. Gestational means that you have your own genetic material and you just need a carrier. So we sourced the carrier from an agency and she helped us with our own genetic material. We've had our genetic material for like 4 years now. This is 2025. So since 2021, we've had frozen embryos and we've been using them and miscarrying, and so we just decided to,
give someone else a chance to carry it.
So in that case, the surrogate does not have any genetic link to the child. She's just a carrier to help the baby grow.
Wow.
Is that the easiest option, though?
That's the least dramatic.
Yes, because that means because they're not the challenges is not really her or him.
Have male factor or female factor.
Or like some people that maybe they have low quality eggs or the men have 0 sperm count.
Even at that, you would source your donor. In Nigeria now, the easiest way to do it, nobody really offers the traditional surrogacy because of the legal issues. There's so many. In fact, I've heard stories for days. It's just
before you share one of those stories, let's take a break because we want to touch on the legal aspects of it and then even the conversation around the surrogates. And yes, you said you could breastfeed. Yeah. And I know a lot of people will be interested in how she could breastfeed the baby that is hers, but that she didn't give birth to. This is a really insightful conversation about surrogacy, and it's a conversation that remains shrouded in some level of mystery and stigma. We continue to demystify and destigmatize surrogacy when we come back. This is Jasiri. Stay with us.
We have been having so much fun on this show, and that's how we do here. Whether we're having a serious conversation, a very intimate conversation, or we're just lightening up the mood, we try to infuse a little fun in it. But the conversation we're still having is about surrogacy. Now, surrogacy has provided hope and joy to countless families, but it also raises important questions about ethics, about rights, about evolving definition of family in our society. Now, from navigating legal frameworks to understanding the emotional and cultural dynamics, we'll explore the complexities that surround this modern path to parenthood. We're still talking to Nancy Umeh, the ever-bubbly, ever-beautiful public health scientist and private chef, about her and her family's surrogacy journey. Nancy, now many people would wonder how you navigate the legal complexities of this journey, and you give a hint to that. And our laws seemingly haven't caught up with some of the realities of the 21st century, one of them being surrogacy. They're still very confused as to what to do in those situations. So can you take us through what the legal situation for the type of surrogacy you did was? Because we know that there are some that get really messy, you know, where the carrier now comes and start claiming the child as separate.
Or parents leave the child with the carrier.
So what were the legal processes for yours?
Okay, so for us, we had to go through an agency. I think that's what people don't realize. The moment you have contact with your surrogate, that's just when drama starts. It's just too complicated.
So you had no contact at all in the whole 9 months?
I don't know who my...
Wow, you could pass her on the street and you wouldn't know.
Yes, better.
The only thing I know is her first name. Wow. And I know her infection screen, I know her status infection screening wise, and that's about it. The moment you just start to dabble deep into people's lives, that's just when issues come up. Everybody that has ever had issues, I now, because of my journey, I've known at least 12 people that have gone through this path, and some of them knew their own surrogates, and all of them that had issues because they went in too deep. And the way to actually mitigate that drama is just to go through an agency. So the agency prepares the legal documents for you to sign, and that includes the surrogate's rights and your own rights as the intending parent. So you're supposed to know that this, by law, in some countries, the birth mother is the mother of the child. So in other countries, for example, in the UK, the surrogate mother is in the child's life till the child is 18, regardless of the genetic material, whose genetic material it is.
I wonder.
Nigeria, that's not the case. The person who has the genetic material has the child. So regardless of who
carries who gives birth.
So how did you get your agency? Because I'm sure a lot of people, based on experience also in Nigeria, everything is subject to potentially being scammed. So how did you get your agency? Was it by referral?
No, I found out IG. This thing about Instagram following you everywhere is very true.
You just say something and it pops up.
So I was doing a lot of research about, so when my doctor mentioned that, and the next thing I started seeing her post, and I saw quite a number of agencies. There are very plenty in this area. If you search surrogacy, you will start seeing them. They just start popping up. So I saw her own agency. She had the most followers. She had the most.
And she's so I know her agency. I followed her for a while, and she's very transparent too.
She's been doing it for over 10 years, and she was the most transparent of all the agencies. Most of the agencies I visited, they were like, "Oh, okay, so you will have to be on the waiting list. You will stay for a couple of months, and we'll wait, and then when we not find someone." No, she had surrogates ready to go. She had people lining up in front of her office, waiting. Like she has a backlog of people just waiting to help parents. She has. She pays her surrogates well. She treats them well. She has housing for them if they need housing. It's a very organized system she has running. So she's been there.
I know we can't get further into the legal aspects with you because a lot of what you're saying now is raising. I do have some legal questions about that, and I hope that you'll join us to go through that. But one thing we didn't ask: you spoke to your parents. You and your husband agree. How did you tell your kids? How do you explain that, yes, they're going to get a sibling, but their sibling is coming through surrogacy? Because I know your first daughter saw you pregnant with your son, but now a new child is coming. We have a new family member coming, but not. How did you explain to them?
Children are very understanding. My children, I'm very close to them. I believe in gentle parenting, so I don't believe in keeping children in the dark. When we were going through all our IVF cycles, my daughter injected me once.
Wow.
So she might not really understand what this injection is going to do to mommy, but she knows. I tell her, so mommy is going to take this injection so she can have so many eggs, and then they'll take an injection and take all the eggs out. She's like, oh my God. And I'm like, oh, and then they take daddy's eggs too. She's like, what? And they put them together and form a baby. And she's like, oh. So we tell them everything. We explain everything in plain terms so they understand that a baby was in a tube somewhere and it was frozen. Wow. And mommy and daddy have been trying to get these babies, but it's not working. So when I have miscarriages, I come and tell them, it didn't happen this month. And they're like, oh, mommy, sorry. And they're like, oh, huggy, don't worry, next time it's going to stay. And they have names for days. So they will name all the pregnancies they will have.
So but I know now you're fighting for, you're literally fighting to hold your own daughter right now.
I love that you're transparent with them because there's this neighbor of mine, they traveled out and then they had surrogacy. Until date, the last daughter believes, or the daughter before the child believes that the baby came in the mail.
They delivered the baby to them.
It's funny, but at the same time, if she grows up with that mentality, it's going to be a problem. So I like.
My daughter knows. She just keeps saying, "Oh, thank you." She knows our surrogate's name. She's like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." Every time she sees Talia, she's like, "Oh, thank you so much, Auntie." She calls her name for carrying Talia. She's so pretty. Her brother as well.
There's one big thing. We know there's a cost involved. And I don't know how open or how transparent or how open that you would want to be about that, because I know one or two people who are listening, probably a lot more, would want to have an idea. Nancy,
is it called
or whatever you can tell us.
Okay, so I would say this.
Between this and that.
The amount I paid was before our dear T-Pain era. So it's nothing compared to what
is likely is now.
Because I found out and I was like, yo, what?
Thank God.
But funny enough, at the time it was like, yay, when we did it. So I would say in USD, it should be looking at around 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, 10K. Because, especially if you don't have your own embryos, because you have to go through IVF.
Yeah.
If you're going to do surrogacy, you cannot do surrogacy without IVF. So IVF itself is almost 3 to 4 now million. So you have to do IVF, and then the agency will take over. So the agency also offers the entire package. But
no.
Honestly.
So breastfeeding.
Yes, that happened.
Please come and tell us how
did it happen?
How did it happen?
Bonds? I mean,
Okay,
You have
so
to take injections.
I think people
not
fear,
injections.
not fear, but I have a hesitancy to surrogacy because of the inability, they feel, you know, you won't be
so the breastfeeding and building the bond. Yes.
So now I'm happy to say that my child knows my scent and she knows my voice, and she's like, who's that? That's mommy. So because I really, really wanted to carry this child, and when it dawned on me that this is not going to happen, I was looking for ways. I was Googling ways to bond the child born via surrogacy, and I was so happy to know that I could breastfeed, and even though I won't be able to breastfeed exclusively, I was just happy to know that that bond will be there, and it is very important because right now I'm so grateful that I can do that. I was like, imagine I was not breastfeeding. How would I even feel? Like, you would just feel very distant from the child, and that's the truth.
Yeah.
If you do not birth the child, there's going to be this disconnect, whether you like it or not, and breastfeeding just closes that gap.
Yeah.
So I took medications. First of all, I took medications to mimic pregnancy, and that shut off my period for a while. And eventually, they put you on another medication called domperidone, and you take it for a while.
To induce lactation.
Increase the dose, reduce the dose. You will be under the guidance of the agency. And then eventually, before the baby is born, you should have been taking it when your baby is like 5 months in utero.
Okay.
So when Talia was 5 months
body will
in
be
utero,
ready.
I was taking these medications, and by the time she was born, I already had breast milk.
It's the way Blessings is looking at you for me. And it's just because you're opening up so much that I think a lot of people didn't think about. So we've talked about your bond. What about your husband bonding?
Oh, that one is, oh God. That one doesn't even need breast milk. That one is in love. If that's how he is with his daughters, he's just very, no, don't. When my first daughter was born, she was very close to her dad, and it's the same thing now. When I was coming here, he was like, bye.
We see you later.
And it's a good thing. That's why I like entrepreneurship and the fact that you have your own time. Because sometimes I feel if we were working in 9 to 5, it would have been a bit difficult for us. Now we all rally around her. Thankfully, my business is a bit structured. So his own business is very structured. He doesn't have to be there for months, and things will still happen. But I was imagining, surrogacy, if you want to do surrogacy and you're working in 9 to 5, it might be a bit too much because that bond. You have to really sacrifice the first 6 months just to bond with that child. And I'm just grateful that he has his time, so he's always there. Always bonding with her.
They gave me 2 minutes mark and I don't understand, but I have a final question. In terms of, you had said that when you and your husband, when the doctor told you guys surrogacy was literally the only option left, your husband said he too wanted a big family. Is this going to be the last baby?
Now that we are not sleeping, I'm like, motherhood in my 20s was amazing. But right now, I'm like, where is this back pain coming from? Why are my eyes hurting so bad? Like, now we're like, if you're ever going to do this again.
So you're not sure? You haven't made up your mind
How
yet?
much she doesn't sleep in the night.
It took you 7 years. We don't remember. After some time has passed, you don't remember those only months.
You can. Now is the time. So they can be going together.
Before you go have triplets.
I don't know if I want to do another one, but let me just do this one first. Not every 1 year. Let me know, because we have 13 embryos left.
Wow.
So the option is open.
So you could do triplet legs.
Let's call her.
She's ready to come on. She's ready to come on.
Because I have no such abilities of cleaning, and I can only sit with the baby.
That's what we need you for, because really she likes to be held. She's been spoiled.
That one is easy.
She's been spoiled rotten.
Because our sister and siblings are there. And you never know.
You said that you cannot get pregnant again. If you decide now to go the surrogacy route.
No, I might have to
There you
eventually.
go.
If I stay where I'm staying
We're
now.
navigating into different waters now.
We just want to say thank you so much, Nancy. Thank you for being so
Thank you for
open.
having
Very
me.
much. I mean, Nancy Umeh has shared her story, and it's been an incredible story, and she has shed light on such an important topic. Your courage and openness are paving way for more inclusive conversations around fertility, surrogacy, and motherhood in Nigeria and on the continent, and we're grateful for that.
We are.
To our viewers, if you or someone you know is navigating infertility, remember that there are options, and there is no shame in exploring them. Parenthood is not defined by how a child comes into your life, but by the love and care that you provide. So let's continue to challenge stereotypes, educate ourselves, and create a society where everyone has the freedom to build their families in the way that works for them with the options that they have. Until next time, stay inspired, keep the conversation from the ladies and our beautiful guests. Bye. Bye.